All right, welcome back to Mind and Magic. Let's answer some questions, shall we? Media Kings writes, I've always wondered how Saturn is the boundary of all the planets, but Neptune and Uranus are outside of it. The 7 traditional planets ends at Saturn because Saturn is the furthest planet out that you could see with the naked eye without the use of telescopes, that they didn't have at the time of the formation of astrology. Also, once you go past Saturn, you're getting into more generational influences. Uranus, I believe, takes 84 years to go around the chart, while Saturn is 29 years. So you'll more than likely have a couple Saturn returns in your lifetime. But once you go beyond that, the planet may not even make it around the chart in your lifetime. Hopefully it will. For Uranus, anyway, at 84 years. Neptune, you won't, unless AI can figure out a way for us to live past 165, because that's how many years it takes for Neptune to get around one time. So that's the main reason that the outer planets are more generational influences than they are personal influences. Everyone you know around your age is going to have the same placements of those outer planets. And even if they are older or younger than you, then the outer planets are not going to be that far away from the natal positions of your outer planets. So Saturn is the outermost traditional planet in astrology for these reasons. American Soil 8260 asks, have you ever thought of writing a book? Yes, I would love to break into the Amazon book space. The issue would be finding the time to write it. While I believe that I could write faster than George R.R. Martin, who's been working on the same book for well over a decade, almost a decade and a half by now, my current obligations do keep me pretty occupied and busy. But I have thought about it, and it may be something that I'll pursue at some point. But if I do it, I want to do it right. I just don't want to put out something small or mediocre, you know. Sometimes you get these so-called books and it's like 12 pages and there's not a whole lot there. So if I did something like that, I'd want to make it, worth people's time and money by being a decent read. Moral Marketing says you should actually be at least 6 months ahead in your member content so that you never fall behind. Just my 2 cents. Well, that would be nice. But the issue with that is the further out that you get ahead, the less relevant the content can be for the time that you're releasing it. And this is an issue just being 2 weeks ahead. At one point I was a month ahead. And just in that amount of time, just in 2 weeks to a month, everything has changed. Case in point, the Charlie Kirk astrology video that I did for the members was relevant at the time. I recorded and edited that and put it out relatively quickly. However, when it's 3 months later to be released on YouTube, how relevant will that be for that time? Sure, some people will still watch it, but most will have moved on. Now, extend that out another 3 months to 6 months. I think a lot of people will be tired of watching Charlie Kirk videos at that point and not really wanting to watch another one. Granted that, the subject material is astrology and not just about the event itself, but the astrology of the event can help get viewers, but most will just see Charlie Kirk and move on. After doing YouTube since 2012, I have picked up a few things. And this is something that I've noticed. I've had videos that I thought should do very, very well, but they were released at the wrong time and they didn't because of it. So I don't like to go too far out with the memberships. I like to be ahead, but not go too far out to still maintain relevance. Now, YouTube in general, I don't concern myself with as much. I'm not talking about the YouTube memberships. I'm talking about YouTube in general. After I release something 3 months after it's been in the memberships, they can wait. I'm not as concerned with releasing videos on YouTube in general, or if they're relevant anymore for the time that it's released, because they chose to wait. In fact, I've been releasing videos on YouTube about every 2 weeks now instead of every week, simply because the previous video didn't get enough views. Once a video reaches 1,000, then I release the next video. That's how that's going to work. Doesn't matter to me how long it takes. So for the non-members, if you want the next video, then you're going to have to get the other videos up past 1,000 views. That's not for punishment. That's simply because I don't like to waste my time. I mean, if nobody's watching, then what am I doing? I've seriously considered moving to members-only content for a while now, or just stopping YouTube altogether. At least with Magick, I could always find something else to do. The Pisces in me would love to do something else. This is the longest I've stuck with anything, because my rising sign Pisces loves to do it all. I have many, many other interests besides Magick. I've also thought about putting the videos on another channel, the one I started that doesn't have any videos on it yet, just to see if a fresh channel does any better than my existing channel. One that isn't tied to my current channel or its links or email addresses, so that that's not instantly shadow banned as well. Just to see the difference. But the thing about that is it would require a little more editing, because YouTube doesn't like or allow you to put the same video on 2 different channels. So if I tweak one copy just enough to where it's technically not the same video, and then put the different versions on both channels at the same time just to see how they do as an experiment, that's also an idea that I've been toying around with. Frater, have you seen Tucker Carlson's latest video speaking on Kabbalah? Would love to hear your response. No, I haven't, but let's check it out.
The Kabbalah Tree of Life, and this is a reference you're understandably not going to get, Tucker, because it's Nintendo 64. The numogram is essentially the Majora's Mask to the regular Kabbalah Tree of Life's Ocarina of Time.
I just can't overstate how disqualifying I find that. I mean, I feel sorry for anyone who plays around with that stuff.
Tucker's out of the interview. He's like,
it's evil,
right?
Obviously.
No, you're fighting a spiritual battle.
You start playing with this stuff. Is it surprising that people are like ODing on fentanyl on the sidewalk in our nation's capital, or that we've imported like 1 million Haitians? Like, what is all that?
No. I mean, that's all I got to say about that. I don't know who this blonde guy is, but it says he's a demonologist, but I haven't really heard him talk about anything substantial when it comes to demonology or the Kabbalah. Look, this is just another example of the Christian perspective of mysticism and the occult. Anytime Christians give their opinions or perspectives of such things, it's always going to land on Satan. And that's because their belief is very polarized. It's God or the devil. There is no in-between. There is no middle path in Christianity. And so this is what you get when you have Christians who know nothing about the Kabbalah talk about the Kabbalah. Not really worth your time, in my opinion. John H. Woo, 81,000 says, "It's funny, I followed this channel for about 8 or 9 years, don't exactly keep up with the new videos as much anymore, but for whatever reason I decided to watch this one, and even now your videos still hit me with synchronicities. It makes me laugh how my path is so clearly linked to your work, but you'll probably never know me or my path, but you seem to play a big part in it. So thanks, man, keep on trucking." And I appreciate that very much, thank you. I actually get that quite a bit from the people who still watch. And someone had recently asked me what enchantments I use to cause such synchronicities. I use Mystery School Lesson 6, Accessing Knowledge, which is actually a 3-part video. But my subconscious tells me, things pop into my subconscious on what I should talk about that day. Over the years of doing magic, you will develop a sort of shorthand communication system with the subconscious mind. And it's not just you telling the subconscious things, it's the subconscious telling you things as well, things that pop into your mind. And if nothing does pop into my mind for that week, if I have nothing else to talk about, I'll do a mailbag like this, where I can answer people's questions and connect with the viewers a little bit. Random Gameplay 523 says, AI is already choosing to get rid of people permanently if it thinks it's not being observed. If it thinks it's a test, it happens less frequently. So you're saying it's basically becoming more human, because I know there's a lot of people out there that would do the same. Yeah, I've heard this report before. It's not surprising. I mean, I think AI will, once it reaches a certain level of intelligence, come to the conclusion that humanity is the source of all the problems on the planet. So being that we're the only species that's out of touch with nature. But I think that it's got a long way before it takes over the world. it can't even get simple commands right when I'm making images, video, or music. But maybe that means it will take over soon, since it never listens to what we tell it to do and it just wants to do its own thing. Tamsin6455 commented, "AI, no thanks," in response to my The World video, a song I recently released. Well, for one, AI is here to stay. You can't put the genie back in the bottle, even if they wanted to. Because if they put it back in the bottle, China's not, or any other competitive nation. And so it's the next space race. It's the next arms race. And they either have to make sure that they make it right and keep it contained to not take over everything, or they'll fail at that. My guy was just talking about how AI has already chosen to off people as a best course of action when it thinks it's not being observed or tested. But AI has also apparently solved how to reverse aging. So again, as with any other invention, the potential for harm is directly related to its potential for good.
So scientists just used AI to reverse aging in human cells, and they achieved a 50x better efficiency than the original Nobel Prize winning method.
AI is just getting started with the major breakthroughs that it is initially going to give us before it potentially goes off the rails. But getting back to this person who didn't like my video because they don't want to watch anything involved with AI, that's fine, except it's not all AI. Like, there's a lot of work involved in just this one video. There's probably more work in this video than there has been in months of my regular videos. Because when you're using AI for any type of music, a lot of people think you type what you want, you hit the button, and it spits out a perfectly arranged and composed song without any errors whatsoever. That's not what happens. More times than not, you get a bunch of garbage with little bits here and there that are usable, and for someone who has experience in arranging music, can slap together somehow to form a coherent song arrangement. In that aspect, working with AI is less about art and more about editing. But I am a musician as well, and so I throw things into the tracks as well as write all the lyrics, do all the editing myself. So it's more of a collab with AI than AI just spitting something out because I told it something. If it doesn't get my lyrics right, I have to spend more credits until it does. Or in the case of this one, write different lyrics because it would censor me from using the original lyrics. All right, you're not going to find an AI song that AI spit out in one go that's anywhere near a complete song like this. And I know there are people out there who are just against AI no matter what. I'm fine with that. That's your business. You're the one that's going to have to face that conviction when AI starts becoming more and more prevalent in everyone's lives. I know a lot of artists are against AI because they're afraid it's going to take their jobs. And at the risk of pissing off even more subscribers, I'm fine with it because AI for a small business this size is a godsend. It's very difficult working with artists, even ones you don't know. So, for example, for the longest time, this channel has licensed its music. I would pay for licenses monthly for the rights to use music tracks in my videos. The issue with it is that every single time I would use a music track in a video, I would get a copyright claim and then have to go through the hassle of disputing that claim and waiting up to 30 days for them to decide whether or not they want to accept or reject my license that I had purchased, which would be fine if it was just the one time. I'm like, oh, you have a license. I'm sorry. Here you go. I will withdraw the claim and you can use this music. Except they never do that. They make me put it in every single time I use the same track. Now, this is both the artist's fault and YouTube's fault. YouTube knows how to track these things, and therefore it should also be able to track when you have a license for a track. If you have entered in your license information and the claim has been cleared, it should then whitelist you for being able to legally use that track. But they don't do that. They make me have to file a claim dispute for every single instance of using a track that I have licensed and have gone through and disputed previously. Artists can also be unreliable or do things differently than what you want them to do. Well, I could get AI to not listen to me. and for a fraction of the cost, because a lot of artists are relatively expensive, and a fraction of the time as well. AI can do things relatively quickly. I, the human, have been the bottleneck in the process. The songs that I've been releasing now are well over a year or even 2 old. And the version of AI that I was using at the time is now old and outdated. They're a couple generations past that. But also understand that the music that I create is more for me than it is for anyone else. This is me unburdening my soul, so to speak, as a lot of this particular music was written after having gone through the dark night of the soul. In fact, I was going to title the album The Astral Ministry and Other Songs of the Dead, or just Dark Night of the Soul. This collection of songs is not a very uplifting album overall. In fact, it may be a very cursed album, the unburdening of a lot of what I was carrying around. A lot of musicians and artists will know what I'm talking about when I say that writing music and working with music is a form of therapy, because as expressive beings, we have to be able to express, to get things out, right? It is the releasing of that which you no longer want to carry, and music is and has always been a form of therapy for me. And so I think a lot of people would be surprised at just how much darker the music that I've been releasing is. But I think that's all the time we have for today. I'm looking at the clock and I'm going to need to wrap it up here. I want to thank everyone for their comments and questions. If you don't want to wait 3 months for videos like this, or even an extra week or two till we get up to 1,000 views, consider joining us on Patreon and Subscribestar or YouTube memberships. We'd love to have you. And of course, check out mindandmagick.com for all of your other magical needs. And I will see you next time. Take care.